For those of you who would like to start to use handheld stones for their straight razors, here's some techniques that I use. Raise a slurry with a tomonagura, and you have a slurry mix on your stone, thin or thin. You always want to keep the stone above your finger level so that you don't nip yourself. So the simplest honing stroke is what we call a pigtail, where at the end of the stroke you go and you gather up some of the slurry so that on the return stroke you sort of hook the slurry in front of the blade where the slurry is the most effective. So those are handheld. Another technique I use is an extended finger out on the, let's say towards the toe. So you can do some straight on strokes like that concentrate the cutting energy towards the toe, or you can slide your finger back towards the middle of the blade or towards the heel. Some people have a little trouble getting a good edge out at the toe, and one reason is because when you hold the razor back on the tang, it's so easy to have the leverage up here towards the heel, and the any pressure, downward pressure out there towards the toe is a little more difficult to manage. So this is just another way that you can do that. And then you can count your strokes or whatever, and then try to put an even number of strokes on the heel and the toe and the middle of the razor. If you want to do circular strokes, you can use the same kind of extended finger technique. The other thing to remember for hand honing, and it becomes obvious right away, is the rotation of your strokes will determine whether you lose slurry off the side or if you keep it on the stone. In this way, a clockwise motion keeps the slurry on the stone, or a counterclockwise actually throws slurry off the side of the stone here, because it directs the slurry that way. So when you're going towards you, you use the clockwise. When you're going away, of course it's the opposite. To keep the slurry on the stone, you go counterclockwise. Otherwise, you're just wasting slurry that goes off towards the side of the stone. So we have the pigtail, which is a semicircular. You have the circular strokes, and then you have the straight on. Those are the simplest. Those are the three major strokes. I like the straight on myself. And when I think of hand honing, I think of slower motions, create lighter pressure. There's some truth to that, not necessarily, it can't be measured, but when you think of going slow, you also think of going light. For diluting the slurry, I rinse off the blade, come back with a little bit of water. That just dilutes it by removal. Rather than adding water, you actually just take away slurry. When you come back, there's a little bit of water on, so the dilution happens in stages. And you get down to a point where after 3 or 4 rinses, you're down to a very thin slurry composition. Most honing experts will recommend flipping the spine over. That's a good policy. When you're doing the pointed finger technique, it's more difficult to do that, or extended finger, but this is the safer way. It keeps the spine on the stone and the edge off the stone when you're doing the transition to the other direction. So, okay, so that's a little short demonstration there.